All right. Dang, that's the fastest we ever got up live. Let me make sure my Instagram is live. What's going on, YouTube? We are happy to be here. Let me just make sure we get my YouTube live. There we go. That's like the only silly thing is that the fact that Instagram doesn't immediately go live right there with you. So, guys, what's going on? Welcome to. Well, I'm hearing an echo.
Oh, it's me. My bad.
No, it wasn't you. It was me on my side. All right, there we go. We're here. All right, so I'm back. What's up, everybody? This is episode 121 of the Think Big podcast. Tonight, we're going to be doing more of a fireside chat, having conversation, talking really the things that are interesting us, right? Like I told Sam, I was having a conversation with him earlier that I wanted to be able to have a conversation where we're following our curiosity tonight. So this isn't as much of the usual where we're hitting you with bullet points. I'm not quite sure where this conversation is going to go for us. And that's the cool part. That's what I think is interesting about the fact of the time and day we live in with the internet is the fact that we can have these sort of conversations live, that you guys are able to influence the conversation in the chat by asking questions. But there's been some, let's say, world changing events that have been going on. I mean, last week I was sick and I got time to sit down and lay in bed and just recover. And while I was recovering, I was in consumption mode. I mean, I was devouring the internet. Like, Sam, I don't think I even told you this. I got on Twitter for the first time basically ever. And that is the wild, wild west of the internet. And through that, I started really seeing the revolution that's going on with our AI technology, things that are happening in blockchain, Web3, what's going on in government, what's going on in the world. I mean, the things are changing. We live in some interesting times. And tonight, I'm excited to have just a conversation about it and really just open up perspective. But I love that we got Chief Sexy Officer here. I don't know when you got the promotion, bro, but congratulations. It's about time the world recognized who you are. But Sam, how you feeling today, man?
Dude, I feel good. I'm glad you're back because I've missed you. I solo episodes are sad for me, man. The chat did keep me great company, so I thank the chat for that. But I definitely miss you. I'm glad you're feeling better. And then it's funny because like I think I was sending you some videos through text this past week, and I'm just like, I know he's gonna be in bed, so I might as well just send him stuff that he needs to like watch. And dude, you're absolutely right. I think we're in a very interesting standpoint right now, where for the last 2 years the discussion around artificial intelligence has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger,
Yep.
and people, there's a lot of fear around it. There's a lot of like, it's like get with it or get left behind, right? It's like you either implement now or you're dead in the water. And for the last 2 years I've been of the mind personally that when it comes down to applicable use cases in our businesses, AI, for the most part, has not been hyper implementable. It hasn't moved the needle a ton of different ways until now. Until now. And I've been saying this for 2 years. A year and a half ago, I did this epic training because that's when ChatGPT like really popped off, was like a year and a half ago, and everyone freaked out, right? But anyone who messes with ChatGPT for the last, excluding now, like pretend the last 2, 3 months doesn't exist. But before that, ChatGPT was great and it was fun, but it didn't have a ton of practical use cases in making you money unless you were like a copywriter or a marketer or something to that effect, or you were using it to create social media copy for captions and blah, 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 blah. But for most of us who are running businesses, issuing a product or a service to the marketplace, or we're trying to solve distressed homeowner situations, AI has been largely not hyper useful. I think we're in a different phase now. I think now, 2 years ago, I would have said that AI at that time, and I said this then when I said it, I was like, it's more of a novelty right now. It's great. Play with it, understand how it works, so you can build the foundation of yourself conceptually of what the future will look like. But pick up the phone and freaking dial, because that's what's going to pay your bills tonight, right? I think now we're in a totally different kind of ecosystem. And here's what's scary: people fail to realize that, in my definition of intelligence, is the rate of understanding. It is not how much you understand. It is not how naturally you understand. It is the rate at which you do. the rate at
What do you
which
mean
you
rate
do
of
it.
understanding?
So great question. So learning to me, I operationalize everything. And learning to me means that you have the exact same condition. Okay. The exact same condition, and you change the behavior. Okay. So if Marlon and I are in a room and I smack Marlon across the face one time, and then I go to smack him again and he dodges, he has learned. The person who hasn't learned is they allowed me to smack them 3, 4, 5 more times. Learning is the same condition, different outcome. That is how you operationalize and showcase logistically that learning is taking place. And true intelligence to me isn't people. It's like, you ever meet people who they're like, they just naturally seem to get everything. There's a natural knack at it. They're intelligent, don't get me wrong. But to me, intelligence is, and the people who are more intelligent are the people who have a faster and faster rate of learning. They don't just learn, they learn quick, and they put pieces together and they connect dots that no one else would think to. That is true intelligence. And the problem with AI, not the problem, the benefit of it, the reality of it, whether you're like, you think it's the best thing in the world, or you think like, oh my God, Skynet, the end of times, the reality of AI is simply this: its rate of learning it's always been exponential. But as far as I've seen it, the last 3 months specifically has been terrifying.
Dude,
Like,
it's nuts. It's growing so much faster. It's like it's because I think everyone saw what happened. What was it, about a month ago, when DeepSeek rocked the world? And really, the only reason anyone cared is because your bank account was directly correlated to it. Because Nvidia, its market cap got basically sliced in half, and the stock market followed suit, and everything came crashing down. So people freaked out because their bank account. And this happened because essentially technology showed up, AI showed up, and was able to do just as effective work, if not more effective, at a fraction of the cost. And so that was alarming. And what's interesting, I don't know if you were following this, but like Elon Musk last night just dropped Grok 3. And
yep.
so Twitter, this is like the fascinating part to me, guys. Like, this is what blows my mind is all of these social media platforms and all of these big tech companies, they're all recognizing that they have to change and get with the times. And they're all creating their own versions of AI because of the amount of data that they have flowing through their system, through their customer base. So you got Amazon creating AI, you've got Meta creating AI, you've got Elon Musk with Tesla and X creating AI. And so last night, X released Grok 3, which has passed every AI out there on the charts, including ChatGPT 4, including DeepSeek. And I'm like, what the heck is actually happening in the world right now? Because what was fascinating to me, Sam, is that these things are starting to think, in the sense that they are no longer just spitting out answers and saying, all right, here's the answer. Like, hey, who was the president of the United States in the year 1972? It's not just like spitting out an answer anymore. It's actually going and researching multiple places. And it's no longer just pulling from one source. It's pulling from multiple different sources on the internet. It's giving itself an answer, and then it's fact checking its own answer. And before it gives you the answer, it's going and comparing it against so many different places. I'm like, this is actually wild right now. Like, it will tell you, like, hold up, I'm still thinking about the answer. And then when it gives you the answer, it's now also giving you the rationale behind how it arrived at the answer, which I'm like, this is nuts. Like, this is actually
Yep.
ridiculously cool.
And that was the thing with DeepSeek, right? So for anyone that doesn't, guys, I'll be real here with you. I think Marlon and I are very, very big advocates of staying in your lane and focusing on your business, and everything else in the world can be effectively noise. I think it's about time where, if you are going to pick your head up, AI should be something that you should look at, because now, with its meaningful applications in the business, it can actually make your business better. It can make you more efficient. It can make you more productive. I think now is the time to actually pay attention. And DeepSeek did something very cool that ChatGPT didn't do. And ChatGPT, unless you ask it every single time as a part of your prompt, ChatGPT will not give you the rationale. It doesn't. It doesn't give you the reasoning behind it. And when DeepSeek came out, and that was like a part of its function, is that it told you, like, here's all the things that we're basically quantifying or computing to give you this answer. It helps you as the operator and the user understand how it's working and therefore how to feed it better information. And guys, I'm visionary. I know when I talk about business, I sound like a systems and processes oriented human being. I'm not. I really am not. I'm just a hyper operational visionary tactician. And when I started playing with AI, I had a struggle point with AI a year ago. And my struggle point with AI a year ago was that I had a hard time putting my brain into the system, or having my brain understand how the system itself operated. And the key with it is, as you get better at training these AI models, the ones that you independently play with, the better you get at understanding how it works, the better you understand how to use it and how to prompt it. And it's actually insane. So I'll put this out there. And for anyone that wants a usable use case right now, and I told Marlon this like the day that I was doing it. Here's how like, Sam, okay, give me an actual example of how AI can make me money or save me money this year, right now. It can do your bookkeeping, like, at an insane level. Guys, I spend like close to like $3-4 grand a year just in bookkeeping, not the taxes side, just the bookkeeping, which is having someone go through bank statements, reconcile stuff, eliminate, duplicate transactions. So we have clean records so that when we do go file our taxes, we know what we're looking at our P&Ls. And bookkeeping is a horrendously inefficient business and industry. I've never seen a single company do bookkeeping right. Truly. Why? Because they all outsource it to overseas virtual assistants. Nothing against overseas virtual assistants, but the reality is they don't know your business. They don't understand the uniqueness of these transactions. And then more often than not, if anyone has paid for bookkeeping before, you know what's going to happen is they're going to go through your books. They're going to give you this messed up sheet where you're going to have to go through and audit it independently. And you're going to spend so much time in it. You're like, why the hell am I paying you? I'm basically having to audit each individual transaction at some point now or later to make sure things are right if I want them to be accurate. And then it takes time. And then they make errors. And then it has a big implication on what you actually get in your P&Ls, which has a big implication on your taxes. And guess what? That $300-400 a month that you pay for bookkeepers adds up when your P&Ls are effed, and then you lose tens of thousands extra that you may not have had to in your taxes. And so we have this bookkeeper that we pay across all my businesses. And don't get me wrong, they're great. They're a great human being. They're great to work with. It's just a tedious, inefficient, ineffective process that takes too damn long. And so I was like, there's got to be a better way. So what do? I go to ChatGPT for free, not even the paid version, for free. And I go and feed ChatGPT all of my bank statements, all of them. I just download the PDFs and I send it to ChatGPT. And then here's the cool thing, guys. I give it the prompt to like clean the data, extrapolate what I need from the income, extrapolate all the withdrawals, remove the duplicates. I give it all the reasoning and the cleaning and the filter steps that you need to have to make sure your P&Ls are done properly. Here's what's crazy. ChatGPT, in the course of about 2 days, it took me 2 days because the system crashed. I think we had a server issue or whatever. But in the course of about 2 days, it probably about 4 or 5 hours total of me doing it and sitting with it and playing with it, it did 3 years of bookkeeping at probably a 90 to 95% accuracy rate. And here's what's crazy. That amount of bookkeeping would take a actual human bookkeeper for 3 years, over a month of reconciling.
I was going to say probably like about a month and a half, because I had to do that with my bookkeeper last year when I onboarded them, and they had to go and reconcile my books from the past. It took them about a month and a half, maybe a little bit closer to 2. That was my fault. I took a little while to get them some papers, but ultimately, even after they had everything, it still takes a human that long. And then, they're good bookkeepers, but there were still human errors. There were still things that, luckily, my business partner looked it over as well, and the fresh set of eyes came and saw, like, hey, these are mistakes in here still.
Yep. So it'll take a month. And so I think with mine, great person, great human being, right? Awesome. The reality is it would take them a month to probably like a month to do the reconciliation process. Then you have to audit it. And then you're like, dude, this is a deposit. This isn't an expense. You're counting income as expense. You're counting expense as income. And then you're basically having to line by line because you open the door in your brain. You're like, well, you effed up on this. Like, I now have to go through everything else. And then you have to come up with new conventions. And it takes like a month and a half. And it's going to cost you over the course of a year, right? Like to have them on retainer, typically about like $3 to $4 grand, $3 to $5 grand, depending on, how premier of an agency they are. Now, here's the crazy thing. ChatGPT did that in probably about 4 to 5 hours. And here's what's funny. And I should have done this at the beginning. After we had done it all, I asked ChatGPT. By the way, ChatGPT understood everything. And here's the cool thing with a human bookkeeper that you guys, I promise you now, if you don't have a bookkeeper, you will do this and you will hate it and it will drive you up a wall. You will find yourself saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. Hey, that transfer type, that transaction type, don't count it. Next line item, a next spreadsheet. They count it again. They count it again. They count it again. Why? Because they've got 42 other clients that they're working on and they're not really paying attention to you. The great thing with ChatGPT or AI just in general, you basically tell it once. It may need to be reminded if you come back like a session later, you log out, come back in. But for the most part, it learns and it stays learning. And then it can operationalize everything you tell it and just be consistent as shit with it. And here's the crazy thing. I asked it at the end, I should have done this beginning. I said, hey, GPT. That's what I call ChatGPT. I don't know. Have you named yours?
So funny enough, I do name different ones and we'll get into this. Like I recently discovered that you can create your own GPTs and you can train the models. And so I absolutely have gone into creating different GPTs that are hyper specific for a very hyper specific purpose.
Beautiful. Exactly. And that's so guys, I have literally a bookkeeping bot. I've got now there's a lot of bots that we're building out from AI and from several other AI providers. And so here's the crazy thing. I asked it at the end after it, based on everything that we've done, you tell me what was a better way for us to have done this entire process to make it faster, more efficient, more effective, and more timely. And then it was funny. It gave me like a sarcastic answer. It was like, well, I just didn't want to hurt your feelings, so I didn't tell you this sooner. And then it gave me like a list of like 4 or 5 different things that we could have done. And it literally quantified it. It's like, if we did all these things, we would have saved 2.5 hours on this process.
Yep.
And I'm just like, and the things it gave me were things that I didn't even think about. It's not like, oh, batch upload PDFs or batch upload your statement instead of one at a time. It gave me a lot of different stuff. And here's the cool thing. To Marlon's point, search is a feature that a lot of AIs are having. So before AI, for anyone, I'm going to dumb this down or try to make it as simple as possible. Your AI's use case has always been predicated on the data that you feed it. So you have to give it a ton of information, and then it can only basically operate and retort or comment back or remark back based on the information you've given it. Now, AI has the ability to interact with the freaking internet, to interact with search engines. And here's what's crazy, and I'll mention this in a moment, but now you can 100%, can you use AI or ChatGPT to skip trace? Not effectively and not with any certainty. If you use, just so you know, fun fact, almost every free or low-cost skip tracer is now using GPT, and they all suck because GPT, if it is using search engines on the background, or you can direct it to use a search engine on the background, it's going to go and pull like true people search and horrible free skip tracing, and you're going to get horrible numbers. I would not recommend that at all. Don't use
not
GPT.
if you're doing your business at scale, not at all.
No. I mean, like if you're in the position where like you've never done a deal before and you have no money and like you need to go do the true people search method, do that. But if you're trying to like take it seriously and like have results, then no, just invest 10 cents more and then get a real skip tracer. So here's the crazy thing though. Now GPT doesn't need the data that you give it. It's working on it. It's not completely there yet, but pretty soon, anytime you ask it something, it will basically search the internet for you, search multiple things for you, be a research assistant.
I mean, it's already doing that, right? It's like, this is the crazy part. Like it's doing what it calls deep research. Yep. And the deep research function, guys, like this is how I think people ought to be using it, because my brain can't help but go back to, how do I use this for investment purposes? How do I use this to make my life better? How do I use this to save time? Because it's a productivity hack. This is having the ultimate assistant work for you 24/7, doesn't need any time off, doesn't need days off, and is having the best working memory where it will remember the thing you spoke to it about 2 months ago. And utilizing it to basically understand, for example, let's say you're looking into investment opportunities or you're doing market research. Rather than spending all the hours on Google that you used to spend, you should honestly be talking to ChatGPT or a Grok 3 or a DeepSeek. Start playing with these AIs. And that's the thing too, it's play. Because I think what happens, and I've seen people even in the chat, like Jada was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to learn ASAP," right? Like people get a little worried that like I don't have it all figured out, and that learning it is this massive undertaking that you need to be some sort of tech whiz. You really just need to be curious, like a kid getting on the internet for the first time. Like be a 16-year-old kid on the internet for a minute. Go and get this thing and just start having a conversation with it because it will blow your mind. Like Sam, I'm surprised to this point how many people are still not even leveraging it as like for me, ChatGPT has become my search engine. I do not use Google anymore. I go straight to ChatGPT for basically every question and conversation. And just the other day, I was actually utilizing it to check into an investment that we're about to make that because you guys don't know this, but like even with my money, I think I might have shared this some episodes in the past that like the money I make from my cash flow, right? The money that I get in from my properties, but I don't use my own money to buy properties. I take that money and I invest it into assets. So I still own a portfolio of stocks. I still own a portfolio of crypto. And I was looking into a project. And normally, what it would take is hours of me researching, reading different articles. I started having Chat GPT get me all the research that I needed. And I was like, holy crap, bro. Last week alone, on some of the research that it kicked back to me, we did a 3x return on our money inside of 7 days. Like, in freaking insane, dude. Insane. Like, I'm talking hours of research being done in moments. And what's cool, I mentioned the Grok, right? I mentioned Grok AI. This is a new use case that I hadn't even thought of. And I started playing with it. I accidentaled onto it. Is when I'm going now, you know how hard it is. You and I are big on vetting the people that we bring into our life and the people that we open ourselves up to from a standpoint of networking, even from consumption on whose information is valid to take in. And I just started playing around with Twitter recently, or now known as X, right? The artist formerly known as Twitter. And on there, you have everybody from politicians to celebrities to influencers, and they have been posting content for years. And I'm not going to sit down and read through all of your content. But what I can do now is I can send the AI to your page and I can literally have it do research and summarize who you are based on everything you've posted, every person that you follow, every person that follows you, the way you respond to other people's tweets. And it's been spitting back to me just an insane. It feels like I have a PI, like I hired a private investigator for individuals now because it's able to come back and tell me, okay, this is who Sam Singh is. This is who Joe Biden is. This is who Elon Musk is. This is who Vandy Properties is. It is nuts. I want people to realize that having this AI in your life is something that you got to be using it right now. Start bringing it in. Now, I'm curious to know for you, what are you personally like most excited about?
I love it. Here I want to showcase this for people who don't okay. I'll answer that in a sec, but I want to highlight this. So this was a couple months back, maybe 6-7 months ago. There was an internet trend going around of and because AI had just started like early starting to figure out how to do this, and you would have AI basically go to your Instagram and then roast you and then summarize you, right? And so Sasha, a business partner of mine who I adore, she sent ChatGPT to Sam Singh's profile, and she was like, "Hey, ChatGPT, tell me about Sam Singh based on this profile." I'm gonna read it to you guys because it's funny, it's accurate for the most part. It's actually kind of scary too. And this was like 7 months ago.
I think I remember this.
Yeah, dude. So okay, here's how it reads. Oh wow, where do I start with this one? Your friend's Instagram looks like it was built in a lab by a team of motivational speakers and crypto bros powered by KPI tracking AI. It's like the love child of Shark Tank and every TED Talk ever, with a dash of pixelated video game graphics just to keep things quote unquote cool. He's scaling businesses all right, just not as fast as he's scaling the number of times he uses the word origin story in his posts. If Grindset had an Instagram, it would be Sam. I bet even his morning coffee comes with the side of scaling strategic KPIs.
That's funny.
And by the way, guys, that's going off of photos. That's going off of photos. And now we're exponentially above where we're at. So to your question about what am I excited about, right? Where do I find applicable use cases for it now, and where am I excited for it to go? Number one, we all know you could use AI heavily for marketing. The problem with marketing, the use of AI in marketing. So there's a lot of, big things out there. One of them is like robocalling, AI calling. That's a thing. Here's the thing, guys. Just because an artificial intelligence can do it doesn't mean it precludes you from legislation against that. And so AI cold calling, as illegal, if not more illegal than technically robocalling. So actually probably even worse. And so the federal government, just so you guys know, the federal government is trying to keep up with this. The problem with innovation technology and the law is that the law will always be behind because there's so much bureaucracy. It is what it is. But just understand that everything you want to use case for it, especially in like marketing perspective, you will definitely have to be aware of legislation that comes out against it to protect consumers, protect the economy, protect the marketplace. Obviously, the government can't allow monopolies and it can't allow anything predatory. So I do think everyone right now, fundamentally, I am sorry to the people in third world countries. This is just the truth. I think the entire world of administrative virtual assistants is about to be demolished by AI in the next 12 months, probably sooner. Probably Agreed. If you're playing with your AI enough, you will not need one right now.
Agreed.
And I'm sorry to say that. I really do. I feel bad about this. Like, it's not something I look forward to because there's millions and millions of people who will be affected by this. And if you look at the Philippines for the last 10, 15, 20 years, it's one of its primary economic sectors has been cold calling for entrepreneurs and businesses.
Yep. That
is about to be completely wiped out. Then there is the ecosystem of people who are administrative assistants. So just general task-based. As Americans, we love the idea that we can, for $4 an hour, have someone just do basic tasks. Hey, go compile a research report for this. Cool, but it's going to take them 8 hours. And they don't have context. They don't understand everything. AI is now going to be able to do this in 30 freaking seconds. And so, guys, when I was doing my bookkeeping, don't get me wrong. And to me, this was slow. I thought it was slow for a moment. I would give it a PDF of a bank statement. And it's a raw PDF that looks horrible. It's not nicely formatted, right? It's like my Wells Fargo PDF. If you guys have Wells Fargo account, go look at your bank statements. You'll see what I was dealing with. It looked like crap. And in about 10 seconds, it extrapolated everything, removed all the junk, put it into an Excel spreadsheet, by the way, labeled it how I wanted to label it in a nicely convenient CSV file. And it did that in about 30 seconds. And it's only going to get better. It's only going to get faster. So I think the sad truth is we're going to see a lot of third world countries and developing countries be hit really hard by this. They will be lost. Innovation will wipe them out of the American ecosystem of entrepreneurship, especially, or the Western world. It is tragic. And there's going to be a tremendous, and I don't think people understand, Elon Musk talks about this. There's going to be a tragic, almost culling of the world. And because when you have third world countries and people feed their families, and guys, I've had hundreds of virtual assistants from the Philippines in the last 3.5 years that have been doing business. Hundreds. And if you guys have anyone, you will know that the salary you pay your virtual assistant doesn't just pay for them. They're paying for their grandma, they're paying for their cousin, right? They're paying for everybody. I have virtual assistants right now who we pay an elevated price point to, and I know that they are the provider for like not just themselves and their immediate family, but like 2 other families. And we're going to keep our key people because we have a commitment to them. They're part of our team. We love them. We're not getting rid of them. But not everyone has the same moral compass that we do. And what's going to happen is naturally the world of capitalism, the world of entrepreneurship, there will be a culling of all of these people who unfortunately are not going to be able to keep up at the pace that AI is, and effectively for free or for $20 a month. It's also cheaper. The reason why we do VAs is because VAs are astronomically cheap. AI is cheaper, $20 a month with like the plus plan for ChatGPT. and all these other competitors are they're gonna compete. And the sad truth is, this is going to take poverty-stricken countries, and you're going to remove some of their biggest economic sectors. And I think starvation is going to be an issue. I think these countries are only going to get worse. And what's going to happen for those countries, this is, I don't want to get into this, but from a socioeconomic standpoint, these countries are going to have to figure out how to deal with the fact that they're about to lose almost all of their money from all external employment. And then these countries are going to have to be self-sustaining with their own economies, with their own marketplaces. And the problem is they don't have the infrastructure to prove it. And so Elon's talked about this. I think Jordan Peterson's talked about this too. I'm not sure, but I think he did. My true concern, because law of equivalent exchange, you guys know that we believe in that. For anything to be gained, something of equal value must be lost. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And for us to be able to systemize our businesses and remove low-skilled labor because we have AI doing it all, the reality is there may be like pandemic level starvation in a lot of these, because these countries are already there. Like if you look at the natural life expectancy in some of these places, it is not anywhere close to Western civilization. And that's tragic. And what happens when you take away like their ability to provide for food or pay their bills? And so there is going to be a danger point there that the world is going to have to come together and figure out, what are we going to do about this? I think there's going to have other implications where other countries are going to start pitching in more and send more money overseas and all this, that, and the other. There's the equal and opposite reaction of it. That's the negative stuff that I want people to be. That's it. I'm just seeing that comment. I just want. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's like I think there is going to be a shifting, right? Like this is like the natural part that when times change, when technology is typically the thing that ushers in new jobs and destroys old jobs, right? Yeah, I mean, look at what happened when you had Uber on the scene, right? Like the taxi industry got annihilated, right? And like that was essentially it's always this movement towards things digital, right? Because Uber was a movement of the shuttling service gone digital, right? Airbnb was the hospitality business gone digital. And now with the AI, you're going to have, for example, self-driving cars. Like if people think that's far off, I mean, Tesla just rolled out a thing where all of their cars literally drive off the ships now. Like when they get delivered and they get into the ports, they drive off the ships into the factories on their own. I'm like, this is insane. Like there is no human necessary to move the Tesla vehicle from like in the inventory process. And so when these self-driving cars hit the road, how many jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs are going to be lost in the countries where AI, like you mentioned, third world countries, where these people are working in call centers. I think what we're going to end up seeing, Sam, and this is speculation, I think we're going to start to see more of a migration back to these factory jobs where people are manufacturing and producing because we're still needing the hardware. We still need the hard infrastructure for these technologies, for the chips. Things need to be built. Technology, like I think we're going to see massive robotics change in the future.
We're going to see. So we're going to see the China model. China across most of it. So the Philippines, for those of you guys that don't know, Philippines is very much a virtual assistant and telecommunications industry for the most part. Same thing with large parts of India and Pakistan and the Middle East. South America, very, very much as well. People are using it as for virtual jobs because they typically don't have accents. They're more Western, right? They're in the same time zone, so people use them for cold call and whatnot. But I do agree with you. I do think that what's going to happen for a lot of these places is they are going to lose entire economic sectors, and they're going to have to figure out another pivot, and they will go naturally to another low skill labor industry, and that's going to be manufacturing, just like China. That's exactly what China does. Here's the thing, though. It's just kicking the ball down the road, because the problem with AI is eventually that's going to get wiped out too. And we're already seeing it, right? Like, guys, I literally have the McDonald's across the street from me or down the street from me. Like, robot takes your order and they're already testing out like robots actually freaking making the things. And so at some point, guys, the answer is this. For the last 2 years, I have hated influencers going to social media and fear mongering because it does no good. Because the last 2 years, everyone's like, oh, you get to do it or you're going to get left behind or you're going to be out of business, this, that, and the other. And then, but at the time, there's nothing meaningful that you could do with it. You just played with AI. It wasn't really implementable in any of your businesses. I think now the implementation's there. You have a responsibility to yourself and your business and your longevity. I do think that the truth is this for everyone listening, your wedge against being removed from the marketplace yourself is your skill set. The people who are being wiped out and who will be wiped out, the businesses, they are people who are not skilled and they're not ahead of innovation and they're not forward pacing. I think that anything that you do, if you have no skill or low skill and all you can bring to the table is something that quantifies to minimum wage, like your skill set warrants in the marketplace minimum wage, you will be removed by robotics, by artificial intelligence within the next few years. I swear to you, that's not something I say with like glee. It's not something I'm happy about, but it is factually true.
Let me ask you this. What are you seeing and what are you thinking like when a person is like in the marketplace, like someone's new getting into the marketplace, you're talking to your 16-year-old brother, 18-year-old brother who's like, all right, I'm about to start developing skills. What skills should I be pointing myself at towards developing, knowing that AI is going to make a good portion of what used to be marketable, useful skills essentially obsolete? Like, where would you start to point them directionally?
Great question. So I love this. I think as good as AI is getting, it is going to. This is my speculation. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not psychic.
Right. I mean, this is a fireside chat.
Fireside chat. God, I wish I was psychic. Here's reality, guys. I think that what's going to happen is that as AI gets better, consumer perception of AI will become more and more distrustful. People are becoming more and more and more and more aware that the human interactions they're seeing online are in fact not human. And you guys see this. How often, guys, I don't say this online that I want to say this online so much. You know how many freaking influencers I'm seeing and they have like 50,000 followers and their reels have 700 views? Or it's like they have 50,000 followers, 5,000 views per reel, and then 200 comments, but all the comments are fake bot comments. And then what happens to you when you see that and you have half a brain cell? You're gonna be like, that person's full of crap. I don't want to do business with them. I don't want to do deals with them. The more aware people become of AI and its use case and its input, you're gonna see seeds of AI everywhere. In the copies you read, the influencers you follow, the services you work with, you'll see where they're using AI. And my speculation is that the average human is going to become more and more distrustful of it. And so the key is we're going to long more, in my opinion, for authentic human connection now more than ever.
Dude,
because what's going to happen is this. For the first time, human connection truly at scale is being taken away from us.
Yo, it's funny you say this because last week when I was doing a ton of research, that was literally like the conclusion I landed on more than anything. Like, I think I walked away last week with this new deep conviction on the fact that the most valuable thing going forward into the future is going to be, at the end of the day, bringing humans together, human connection and community. And like we talk about community from real estate, but being on Twitter, I even got to see inside of Twitter the different communities that exist, these different subcultures that exist and how each one is growing. And I started to understand the crypto world, the crypto space, where these people are buying and selling and making millions of dollars off of essentially made up money. And what's driving it, what's driving the growth behind it, it's communities. It's the fact that people are looking for connection with other individuals and on a place that's authentic. You may not know this, and I don't know how many people knew this. Sam Altman, the founder of ChatGPT, they have OpenAI. They have another company. It's like World. It's called World. I think it's just called World. And essentially, they have this AI that's an orb that they're now beginning to ship out. It's already being accepted in other countries that is meant to humanize the world and essentially authenticate your humanity, because we're running into the issue of deep fakes. So now the way that you go on Twitter and you get that little blue check, or on Instagram and you get that blue check, what's going to be required for you to verify the fact that you are a human is for you to have checked in with an AI in real life, IRL, and verify that you are in fact a human so that the rest of the world knows that your humanity exists. How insane is that? Like that we live in a place and a time where you have to verify your humanity.
It's like CAPTCHAs, but like on steroids. And so, yeah, guys, I think this is the thing. I think, and to answer your question, if you're young and you're getting started and you want to be relevant in the marketplace and you want to have, guys, I firmly believe this. I think that every industry is going to be touched by AI and innovation. It's just a matter of time. Some industries, some micro niches, a little bit later than sooner, but it is a matter of time. You don't have we don't have the luxury that, the world did. And I use the word luxury very, very sparsely here, but like 50 years ago, there wasn't this threat of innovation across all industries that would put everyone out of business. That is the case right now. It is going to happen at some point or another. Every skill set, every micro industry, every niche is going to be affected in some way, shape, or form, if not completely wiped out or replaced through this innovation. And so how do you hedge against it is the question. You have to become astronomically skilled. And if you're beginning, I think what's going to happen is this: 20, 30 years ago, when the internet first started becoming a real thing and it became mainstream, and then telephone communication, telemarketing became a thing, right? No one trusted a phone call they got. Nobody. No one trusted a phone call they got 30 years ago, unless it was like your best friend calling you. If you got a random phone call and someone's cold calling you, there was just this hesitation. I don't trust person on the call. They're calling me. This is BS. Why? Because for all of human history, we were trained to talk to each other face to face. And so when that happened, there was a level of mistrust because it broke human connection. Then texting became a thing, and it was great with your friends. But when your businesses texted you, you had a wall up. Why? Because it was another thing breaking human connection. Now, all of a sudden, up until now, for the last 20 to 30 years, all digital communication has been effectively with another human being. So even though we don't like the methodology, or we may feel the friction because you're not in front of me, Marlon, I know that Marlon Johnson is real on the other side of that screen right now, and I am talking to him. And so we've gotten to a point where we've become accepting of digital communication, whether it's video, audio, whatever. Problem now is that AI is faking human beings. And now, guys, you guys don't believe me? Oh my God. I'll repost this probably later today. Or actually, do this to me. DM me on Instagram at ArchSamSingh, and I'm going to send you a video of Alex Hermosi that was made completely with AI, and he himself is AI in it. And out of the hundreds of comments on that reel, there was 3 or 4 other people who could spot that Alex wasn't real in the video. And I think he's not doing it anymore. I think they were just testing it out to see, and it was scary. And so now the problem is going to be 2 weeks from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, I'm going to do Think Big, and then I may have a seed of concern that Marlon is not freaking real, and he's an AI on the other side. And so now what's happening is we're seeing this great, remember how 20, 30 years ago, there was this speculation, this hesitation that oh, it's the digital process of communicating is different. I don't like it. It's a natural, we're not connected. More or less, we've become acclimated to it. We understand it. We're good. We're starting to see it again, because now we can't even confirm the person on the other side of the phone or the text or the email or even the video that I'm watching. I can't even confirm that they're real anymore because I can't tell the difference. And so here's the case with that. If you are young, sales, not everyone is naturally geared at being good at sales. I get that, but sales can be learned. Steve Trang naturally was horrible at sales. He talks about this all the time, horrible at sales. And so he studied it more than anyone. He figured out how to break sales down into a science, and he's become one of the best sales trainers the industry's ever seen. Jade's like, wait, is this real? I don't know, Jade. This could be like next level Inception Terminator shit. And I think sales is important because everyone is going to have a fear that the person they're talking to on the phone or communicating with in a business is not real. And so a good salesman is going to be able to spot that hesitation in a prospect's mind and communicate to them in a way that shows I'm a real human being. I am authentic. I'm not fake. I know, I get it. I totally get you. I totally get the fear. Other companies are doing that. We're not, because we're here to actually build human relations. Sales comes first. I think sales will give you a really wide window. Also, sales is such a diverse skill set that you can break into other industries and other niches and then have an extra bit of longevity that takes you further. I think that right now, if all you're doing is focusing on, oh, I like to create systems and processes, I like to write SOPs, I like to be a software developer. Guys, software developers for the last 20, 30 years were some of the most highly paid salary industries in the country because of the mass ignorance around them, and they're getting wiped out by AI right now. For the last 20, 30 years, the level of insulation a software developer had was some of the highest insulation in terms of market shifts, market corrections. They're like unfireable because they're so rare. And just like that, they're removed. And so I think the industries that are going to be hurt the most are going to be the ones that are task-based, language input output based, and computational based. I think the industries and the niches and the skill sets that are predicated on raw human connection are going to be the ones that have the best chance of surviving moving forward, at least in the near future. And so for me, I think Hermosi's been talking about this for people who crush school games. Like, if you have a community, if you have a coaching product, if you have a mentorship, you need to be meeting people in person.
Yep.
For the next 5 years, I promise you, the number one thing is, can we connect with humans truly? And so people who are doing meetups, people who are doing events, if I can actually go and hug you and see and feel that you're a real human, I will be much more attached to you than the next person who's trying to sell me some shit. Like, that is just the reality of it. So that's
IRL. It's like there's like certain like new slang terms. I can't believe it's a slang term now or like a online term, but IRL, in real life. Some of you have been seeing that pop up on your news feeds, and you've been wondering like, what the heck is this? Like when you see that all caps IRL, it stands for in real life, and there's going to be a massive craving. There's already a starvation for it. I think you and we take it for granted because we are so well connected. We have access to meetups, we have access to friends, we have access, like we get invites regularly. I mean, like you and I were talking about like we're doing a trip to Vietnam soon, here in like 2 or 3 months to go for like one of our best friends' weddings. And this is the thing. I'm excited when I'm looking at AI right now because Sam made a point that these task-based systems are going to be a thing of the past. I'm excited for the fact that AI is getting to the place where we'll be able to dictate. I can just talk to the phone. I can talk to the computer, and that it will do the task. It will perform the task without even me needing to press a button. That I can ask it to go and build a website for me. That I can, while it's building the website, it'll be able to present back to me the mock-ups. And I can say, can you change that color to blue? Can you add this logo? These are the things that are already in the pipeline. What we're seeing now are agents. So they're calling it agents. And it's kind of funny. If you think about the Matrix, that's what they were called. They were called the guys, the Mr. Smiths of the Matrix. They were called agents because they were able to navigate and walk through the world and affect change in real time. These agents are already here. The AI is already doing this stuff. So I like that. And then Sam, the fact that you said sales skills, something that I've been noticing maybe it's been on my timeline more often because I am in the coaching space, is what I'm seeing a lot of pop up on my timeline are these men, like dating coaches, confidence coaches. A lot of these guys where they've always been around, like a dating coach isn't a new thing, but they never had millions of followers. They never had thousands of comments. I mean, the fact that I'm seeing new ones pop up on my newsfeed regularly over and over and over, and the fact that their followings are growing more and more, I take this in. I'm like taking this data in to tell me, okay, this is apparently what the internet is saying it needs because it's being rewarded. This sort of content's being rewarded. Kind of like how Gary Vee sits on the internet all day long to start to get a sense of where humanity is trending. And I'm seeing more of this, which is showing me that a skill set is, like you said, it's the interpersonal skill sets. It's the picking up the how to win friends and influence people and actually being able to go out and apply that, the connection with humans, creating human connections, being able to hold space where people could come together. If you're able to gather those audiences and you can effectively put like-minded people together in a room and change the way they feel, that is valuable. People pay for what can ultimately change their feeling. If it changes the way they feel, people will pay money for that.
Dude, it's so funny that you mentioned that, especially about the dating coaches. And so I think the reason why, and so Marlon and I travel a lot together. And we've been all over the country together. We've met people of different races, creeds, social classes, cultures, everything. And one thing that when Marlon and I go out in public, Marlon's a lot more talkative than I am with strangers. He's he loves just making friends with everybody. But one thing when you do, I want you guys to all do this: start hanging around with more closers, people who have strong sales backgrounds, like the two of us. And when you go out in public with guys who have strong sales skills, they will just mess with everyone around them. And what will happen is when you go out, I've been out with closers all the time, especially like when I hang out with Pace Morby, it's funny in person. And like we go out around town, we're having a great time. And it's insane to see how good he is at communicating versus the average waitress or human being who he talks to. And I'm not going to use him as an example. Marlon, me, any of the guys that we've just done a lot of sales in our life, you'll actually see how in terms of interpersonal human relations, it's like there are people who are freaking NPCs, man. Like I'm like, you're not a real human. You don't even know how to like have an organic conversation with me because your entire understanding of how to communicate to me, and they're like these people in their 20s or early 30s even, it's like you only know how to retort or remark information given to you based on the guidelines of your job, and that's it. And you've like never had an original thought in your brain, or you've never been able to communicate it. And what's going to happen is this is why closers end up winning across the board. Guys, when you look at the best closers, like in my opinion, I've spent so much money, almost 200 grand in mentorship and coaching. I've never seen personally a better closer in this industry. I've never seen anyone that can touch Pace Morby. And Marlon, you spent a lot of time with Pace Morby. You've seen this, you know, I've chatted about this. That man doesn't just win at real estate. He wins in every human interaction he has. He gets the front of the line. The waitress gives him an extra little bit of love in his food. The cooks take extra good care of him. The valet makes sure, like every interaction he has with every human being, he comes out not just like with a satisfactory result, he almost comes out with like the best result that person's ever given to anybody. And the reason why is because he communicated to them in a way that like just made them want to do more for him.
He makes people feel special. Guys, like peopling. That's what I call it. I call it peopling. And I mean it in a positive way, is like you've got to learn how to people. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about Think Big a lot about making money. I have not yet discovered a single business, a single industry, a single investment that does not involve people, that doesn't involve at minimum 2 humans. I have not figured out a single way to make money that does not involve at the bare minimum 2 humans. 1 human to make something, 1 human to buy it. One human to trade it, another human to receive it. Everything involves people.
Yep. And here's the thing, guys. So one of my portfolio businesses, we are averaging on a full stack day. If we have a stack day of leads coming in with sales calls, we average about anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000 a day in that business. And it's an extremely profitable business. It's a great one. Awesome. The things that we do in that business are somewhat unique, but other people can do it. We didn't invent, something new. We didn't invent a new AI. We didn't invent anything new. We just did something that we knew how to do. We knew how to execute on it well. And we are out closing all of our competition. I actually made a post about this when we did our thing about sales a few weeks ago. And we're out converting, I think, almost everyone by double in our industry. Over double. Like the industry standard was about 15 to 20% on a conversion rate for all the other companies that do what we do. And we're converting at like 46 to 48%. And the reason why, it's not because our product is innately better than everyone else's. I mean, it is, but that's not the point. The point is when we get on the phones or the Zoom calls and the discoveries and you talk to my guys, they are going to make you feel like you are safe with them, that they have your best interests at heart, and that they won't even sell to you unless they think that you can absolutely win and change your life with it. And what ends up happening in that industry, the average churn rate of a consumer of a business like that is between 3 to 4 months. And 3 to 4 months, that's when people leave. That business right now, over a year and a half on a churn. Over a year and a half. The reason why, yeah, the product's great. The service is great. Sure. My opinion It is the human element that we bring. And this is why, if you ask Pace Morby, Marlon, have you ever heard his answer to why when people ask him, Pace, why are you such a good closer? He always has one answer. Have you heard it?
I don't think so. I can't think of what that answer is.
He says, no one cares more than I do.
Okay. Yep. You know what's funny? That's the answer. If you talk to Dean Graziosi and if you ask him, like, what's your secret in building a 9-figure business? He says, my secret is I care and people know it.
Dude, it's so funny. I was chatting with there's a guy who is a founder and a co-owner of the biggest education company, one of the biggest, probably the second biggest, definitely top 3. One of the biggest education companies in the world of in real estate. And they're running a business that does over 100 million a year, 9-figure a year company. And I was spending a lot of time with this person one-on-one a few months back on a trip, on a mastermind trip. And they started like finding out about like my master classes and how I get 600, 700, 800 people to show up and hold them for 5 hours. And I do it all for free. And I don't even run ads and this, that, and the other. And they're like, holy crap. Like, how's that possible? And then here's the interesting thing. If you guys have been in my DMs, you know that like I will take care of you in my DMs. Like I will respond to you. I will love on you. I ask anything and I'm an open book. The reality is this. And then people beg me, dude, I turned down another 50 grand for coaching this past week. And the funny thing is the guy who offered that was coming to me from a coaching program where he's spending 30 grand for one-on-one coaching, not happy with it at all. And he's offering me 50K because he's like, dude, I've seen you chat for free. I'm like, holy crap, you're the guy. And I'm at a point now where I actually turn away money every freaking week for people who are just like, let me freaking pay you. And the reason they do that is simply because I just show them I freaking care.
Yep.
And I give them a level of community. I give them a level of brotherhood, of feeling like a big brother. And the funny thing is I'm not selling them anything. I don't redirect them. I don't push them. I'm just like, dude, just go crush it. And like, eventually, like if I do something, stay tuned. And like, when the time comes for me to monetize, they're all down. And it's all based on human connection. And so I think sales are the most important thing right now. I think sales is your ultimate insulator. And I think here's the key, guys. Actually, I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to go one level up because I want you to think big. The reality isn't just human connection. I want you to understand. Here's my fear. A lot of you guys may start thinking, okay, cool. How do I avoid being annihilated? And then you go and do sales or you learn whatever the hell you learn, right? And you just avoid AI. You become like, cool, I'm insulated. I'm safe. I'm good. You're going to do okay. But in a matter of times when AI catches up to sales in a level of mimicking human connection that other people can't even tell the difference for, and it's getting there. It is freaking getting there really quickly, really fast. What's going to happen is you're going to run the same play. You're going to have to pivot again and figure out how to insulate yourself for another 2 years. And then it's going to catch up and then catch up and then catch up. The people who win, the people who think big are asking themselves, how do I not avoid AI? How do I use AI to get ahead of everybody else?
Yep. It's a tool.
I'm a huge advocate of seeking out a competitive advantage. Do I believe in a collaboration over competition? Hell yeah. It doesn't mean that competition doesn't exist. And the people who thrive right now, guys, I'm going to a mastermind this week. I'll be in Dallas, Texas, with some people who are doing I'm literally going to be the guest of people who have a 9-figure business. And it's funny. Everything that they're working on right now, I know behind the scenes is going to be like AI based, and they're just working on that. And that's all they focus on. And they know that if they do that, all the other competition that's working on more product, more personnel, more people, more this, more that, right? They're just like, if we get this AI to do what we want it to do, we transcend. And so I think you will win if you get good at sales. I think you will win if you stay ahead of the curve. I think you dominate the freaking game if you learn how to use it now and have it be a tool that you have in your arsenal so you're not at the mercy of AI down the road. I think that's the key. I think everyone right now should be spending at least a minimum a few hours a week playing with AI, keeping yourself updated. I don't have the name of it. I'll find it out. DM me on Instagram if you want this. I'll ask my older brother. My older brother is a genius, freaking genius, smartest human being I know. And he consumes like a daily podcast about AI. And it's like 20, 30 minutes every single day. And it's basically by one of the world's leading AI specialists. And then he does a podcast every day, just giving you updates and why it matters. And so I'll get that answer from my brother. Shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I'll connect you guys with that. You guys need to be sure. Like, I think now is a time, Marlon, where we've always been, keep your head down, don't look up, work, work, work. If you're going to look up and pay attention to AI.
And don't get overwhelmed. It's taking a little bit at a time.
That's
a
it.
little bit. Like, your knowledge base for this stuff is going to grow not in one night. It's not going to grow in one weekend. It's going to grow over the next several months. But I just want to make sure that our audience, that our people are taken care of, that we are not, like, you guys are a part of our community. You are not getting left behind. If you're hanging out here with us on the Think Big podcast, the last thing you're getting is left behind. So on that note, guys, we're wrapping this show up. This was episode 121. You already know what to do. If you got value, make sure you smash the like button. Helps out with the algorithm big time. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And most importantly, share this episode with a friend. I saw that we pretty much had the entire audience stay through from start to finish. So typically, if you're listening to us talk for an hour, I'm assuming you're getting value. Like, you're either getting value or like your screen is broken and you've been trying to quit, but you just couldn't get out. So either way, go get a new screen, or if you're actually getting value from this, share it with a friend. Next week, we'll be back for episode 122. We're going to be having more guests on, by the way, in 2025. So if there is somebody, if there's an entrepreneur, an influencer that you are like, we absolutely need to sit down and have a conversation with this person, they're high level, they're high integrity, send us their name, DM us their name on Instagram, and we'll do our research. We're not just automatically going to bring them on, so it's no guarantees, but we would love if you guys are like, hey, talk to, like, if you're like, you guys need to talk to Patrick Bet-David and you got that connection, let's make that happen. So we love you guys. Appreciate you guys. We will see you back here next week for another episode at 5